if I told you that the key to solving many of our biggest problems, from rising healthcare costs to climate change, is right on our dinner plates? Every day, the food choices that we make don't just affect our bodies and minds. They impact our communities, our economy, and our planet. Yet, we've pushed aside one of life's most basic skills: understanding how what we eat connects to everything else. My name is Smriti Mehta, and today I want to explore how teaching about food and nutrition can be a powerful tool for change across many areas of our lives. When we think about nutrition education, we often picture basic food pyramids and calorie counting. But there's so much more to it. Basic food pyramids and calorie counting was exactly what was taught to me in my 8th grade health class. When I read my children's book on nutrition at an elementary school, I witnessed firsthand how curious kids are to learn about food and health. Yet, most schools in America barely teach nutrition. According to the Journal of Extension, the average student in the US receives less than 8 hours of nutrition education per school year, far below the 40 to 50 hours that are needed to affect behavior change. But this gap in education isn't just limited to primary and secondary schools. Even in medical school, where we train our future doctors, nutrition does not receive much attention. A study published in the Lancet Explanatory Health found that 86% of physicians in the US report feeling unqualified to offer nutritional advice to their patients. This gap in nutrition education, from elementary school to medical school, creates a chain reaction of problems that echo through our society. Let's take a look at all the ways in which this lack of nutrition education affects us. First and foremost, health and learning. Poor nutrition doesn't just lead to weight issues. It can hurt brain development, affecting how well a child does in school and how much they might earn later on in life. And this can create a generational cycle of health and financial problems. Our economy. In 2022 alone, the US spent $4.5 trillion on healthcare. That's about 17% of our country's GDP. The American College of Rheumatology reports that 50% of the US population has a chronic disease, and 86% of healthcare costs are attributable to chronic disease. Most chronic diseases are linked to poor nutrition. This huge healthcare cost doesn't just drain our resources, but it slows down our economy and holds back new ideas. Our planet. Intensive industrial farming practices contribute significantly to climate change, deforestation, and loss of wildlife. The United Nations Environment Program estimates that industrial farming practices cause environmental damage roughly equivalent to $3 trillion annually in greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and destruction of wildlife. By not teaching about sustainable food systems, we're inadvertently perpetuating these harmful practices. And last but not least, social fairness. Many low-income neighborhoods don't have grocery stores with fresh produce. This limited access to nutritious food exacerbates health disparities, leading to higher rates of chronic diseases. Now, let's look at all the positive change that nutrition education could bring. A 1995 study by Colorado State University Cooperative Extension found that after implementing a nutrition education program, school children increased their fruit and vegetable intake by half a serving per day. More recently, a 2022 meta-analysis published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that nutrition education interventions have led to an increase in fruit intake by 0.09 times a day and vegetable intake by 0.59 times a week. 0.09. These may sound like small numbers, but by integrating nutrition education into already existing subjects, we can create a chain reaction. In AP Psychology, we can learn how topics like neurotransmitter production and stress response are linked to our diets. In math and economics, we can learn to analyze the true cost of food, including its impacts on our environment and our economy. And in social studies, we can learn how initiatives like Fannie Lou Hamer's Freedom Farm Cooperative aim to create food sovereignty for Black communities in the South due to sharecropping. These ideas aren't just theoretical. There are already successful programs putting nutrition education into practice. Take the Edible Schoolyard program, for example. This program integrates a 1-acre organic garden and a kitchen classroom into the school curriculum. Students learn about all aspects of farming the garden, from planting and harvesting to composting, and in the kitchen classroom, they learn to serve, prepare, and eat the foods that they've grown. What Edible Schoolyard does is it incorporates these hands-on activities into already existing subjects. Spanish classes learn Venezuelan cooking while speaking Spanish. Math classes calculate meal costs, and science classes learn about pollination and the water cycle in the garden. Edible Schoolyard doesn't just improve students' eating habits, but it also builds their understanding of ecology, origins of food, and respect for living systems. This program has been so successful that it's been replicated in over 5,600 partner schools across 53 U.S. states and territories, as well as 75 countries around the world. Here's the amazing thing. Kids are already curious about this. When I read my children's book on nutrition at an elementary school, the kids' questions were endless. Weeks later, I got a stack of handwritten cards from them, filled with excitement and questions about what they learned. This showed me how curious kids are to learn about how food connects to their worlds. They are ready for this information. We just have to give it. To policymakers, I urge you to see nutrition education as a big step towards helping solve many of our societal problems. It's not just about health. It's about a stronger economy, a prosperous future, and a sustainable one. To educators, break down the walls between subjects and use food as a tool wherever you can to connect topics like biology, math, social studies, economics. And to parents and community members, push for nutrition education in your schools. You are not just fighting for healthier kids. You're fighting for a more fair future for everyone. Nutrition education isn't just teaching kids to eat their vegetables. It's about giving the next generation the skills and knowledge they need to not only understand, but to reshape the systems that govern our world. By changing what's on our plates, and more importantly, how we think about what's on our plates, we have the power to make big changes across society. Thank you.